I'm Brad, and I've been a tour guide for nearly 10 years. It's been my pleasure to show the best that my country has to offer to the hundreds of guests I've hosted over the years. Now you get to be my guest as I take you on an eco tour of paradise.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Brad for Brad's Bahama Eco Trip, and we're out here at Taino Beach, and we're just going to take a look at one of the many nature trails that are strewn about the island. This one in particular is a bird watching site. We're just going to be exploring it a little bit, getting a little more in depth with the blackland copland, maybe some of the wildlife and so forth, and just checking it out. So first off, we're going to start with what's known as the snake plant. Snake plant is otherwise known as the viper's bowstring, and very unusual type of plant. As you can see, it looks a little like a snake, hence the name. So the viper's bowstring has been used medicinally for the treatment of asthma, as a purgative. It's been used for inflammation, lessening of inflammation, so many medicinal applications. It's also a very unique plant that people can keep in areas that don't have very much exposure to sunlight, so these can be pretty good on your porch. They do pretty well in areas where they have to compete for sunlight, so they're very aggressive growing types of plants. So out here at Taino Beach, we're pretty close to the memorial for Edward St. George. He would have been one of the gentlemen responsible for the continued development of the city of Freeport. As we all know, Freeport is more or less a private city that is operated by the Port Authority. Now, Edward St. George passed away in 2004, and he and his family were very instrumental in implementing certain social infrastructures along with the continued development of the city. So he was and still is revered and looked at in a very positive light. Trees like this mahogany that's right behind me would have been uprooted as a result of hurricanes that we're so often frequented by in the Bahamas. Now, traditionally, mahoganies are very strong trees. They are trees with a very sturdy root system. However, hurricanes will bring these gale force winds and pretty much uproot a lot of the larger types of vegetation and burn the leaves of a lot of the smaller. Now, we get hurricanes such as category 3s and 4s, and sometimes that could have a very devastating effect on foliage. Now, what bigger trees would do is serve as a windshield for the much smaller trees, but in those circumstances when the hurricanes are very severe, we will have some damage that takes a very long time to recover from. Now, this bird watching trail at St. George's Park, located at Taino Beach, is one of the many places you can go to look at some of the exciting migratory birds that we get in the Bahamas. Now, we have birds that come from the north when it's too cold and from the south when it's too warm, and we get around 374 migratory species of birds. Now, some of these birds would be considered resident birds. They've extended their migrations to the point in which they're spending 7-8 months here, and some of the birds will just come for the winter time. Now, we get a lot of smaller birds such as warblers in the winter, whereas we have birds coming from the south that would be more, I guess, what you consider tropical Now, warblers are generally seed eaters, and these seed eaters would be perched up in areas like the blackland coppice, a very thick, dense type of foliage where they'll find more than enough to eat. These birds would include your northern parulas. You have common yellowthroats. We also have an endemic species known as the Bahama yellowthroat that is basically characterized by its distinctive black mask and its yellow upper area. Now we'll also find greater Antillean bullfinches, and they have a very prominent red markings on their heads. So just some of the exciting finds that you will get when you look through some of these trails. And bring your binoculars with you. Have a really great experience. Okay, right here we have the Acalypha wilkesiana, otherwise known as the Match Me If You Can. This was used for a number of years in Bahamian culture medicinally as a treatment for gastrointestinal disorders, as well as this was used medicinally for treatment of gastrointestinal disorders and fungal skin infections. Now, it makes a very good ornamental as well. People would use these to make hedges and so forth. But it gets that name, Match Me If You Can, simply because all of the leaves display distinct, different patterns. Very, very beautiful, usually like a burgundy color with bits of green in between. Taino Beach is the site of our very famous regatta boat races, and every one of our inhabited islands, the main ones, feature boat races with separate classes, and locals and visitors alike can come on out and experience what it's like to be a part of a spectator sport that's so classically Bahamian. Now, we also have our own version, our very own version of the famous triathlon, the Ironman, in the form of the Conkman. That takes place at Taino Beach as well. So this is a very, very popular attraction to the island of Grand Bahama.
I'm glad I got to share this part of my home with you. If you've enjoyed the tour, be sure to click the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Maybe I'll see you on our shore soon.